Welcome to Detroit, Michigan, USA, and welcome to the brand new Ford Mustang. This is the 7th generation of Ford's iconic pony car, and like the previous generation, this one will be available officially with a right-hand drive model coming to Australia and New Zealand. But more details on that in just a minute. But first, let's take a look at the design, which Ford says is edgy, and they're trying to target younger buyers, millennials, post-millennials, even Gen Z with this edgy-looking design. Up front, it's not too radically different than before. We've got a continuous long brow across the front. What's really interesting, though, is this GT model has a completely different front fascia than the other models that will be available. So for the first time, this will be a very different looking car from the front, but not from the sides and from the rear. On the rear of the car, we've got the distinctive tri-bar taillights like before, but a much more distinctive cutout than we've ever had in the Mustang before, giving the car a wider stance, visually at least, even though the width is actually the same as before. Along the sides, the beltline has been lowered to bring those doors down a little bit more. And just check out those rear fenders. There's some massive meat there to show where this rear power is going. There is no all-wheel drive model, no hybrid here like rumors, only rear-wheel drive like you would expect from a traditional Ford Mustang. So the design is edgy, so Ford says, but what do you think? Is it edgy enough? Is it different enough? Or is this just a little bit more evolutionary? Let us know in comments, and then meet me over here because we're going to take a look at the interior, which is pretty radically different than before. On the inside, some much more major changes than before. We've got a typical deep dish steering wheel like before, but now we've got a flat bottom on here, and I know this one's on the left, but again, there will be a right-hand drive model available. 6-speed manual or a 10-speed automatic will be available, but what's probably more interesting is this handbrake to the left of it. This looks like a traditional handbrake where you'd pull on it to engage the parking brake, but this is actually fully electronic. It's been developed in partnership with Von Gittin, who's a very famous Ford drifter you might know, and you put this thing in track mode, and you can use this to get yourself a little bit more sideways than you might otherwise. But it is, again, fully electronic. This is not an actual manual handbrake. It just kind of looks like one. We've got integrated displays here and a brand new skin on top of Ford Sync 4.0, which is powered by Unreal, just like any kind of video game. So you've got high definition graphics in here, lots of interactive displays, and a really engaging experience that is, again, targeted more towards younger buyers with maybe a little bit more of a short attention span.
The main display is a 13.2-inch LCD with a whopping 12.3-inch gauge cluster, both integrated into the same unified bezel. In following modern trends, those displays have taken over more and more of the traditional controls in the car, HVAC being the most notable, now exclusively accessed through the touchscreen. The lack of temperature knobs and buttons frees up space in the center console, creating a little cubby for your phone with wireless charging. Thankfully, there is still a volume knob. As far as suspension and handling go, Ford didn't have much to say at this point. It will still be an independent rear setup here, no surprise, and adaptive dampers will be available on at least the higher trim Mustangs, adjustable through that flashy Unreal Engine-powered central display.
Under the hood of the new Mustang, you've got your choice of just 2 engines this time. On my right, this is the 2.3-liter EcoBoost, which Ford says is more powerful and more efficient than before. And on my left, this is the venerable 5-liter V8, now with the dual intake, dual throttle bodies, more engine air going in there, giving you more power at the back, but Ford's not giving us any quotes on exactly how much more power or how much efficiency we should expect out of either of those motors. We're going to have to wait and see. We're also going to have to wait a little while for these cars to show up down under. The cars won't be available in Australia or New Zealand until sometime late 2023, so be patient. But let us know in comments what you think of the new Mustang, and we'll be back with our full impressions as soon as Ford lets us behind the wheel.